Hello, my lovelies. Happy Wednesday. Happy scoping out. I'm so glad you're here today. I know that summertime is wrapping up and school year is beginning for those of you who are parents or students yourself. We've got a whole new chapter to begin here as the summer winds down and the cooler weather begins to sneak in on us. At least it is here in Colorado, really early. Normally, this is our hottest season, and it is like sweatshirt weather, which I love. So the reason I'm talking to you today about moving forward after missing your goal is because I had a really good opportunity to practice this myself a couple of weekends ago. I think I've mentioned it on a few of these. Our big goal was to me and my kids had this plan. Started planning it about a year ago after we had done uh, Mount Gray's, or Gray's Peak actually is what it is, 14,400 some odd feet, something like that. And we said, well, wouldn't it be cool to watch the sunrise from up here? So we decided that we were going to do Mount Quandary next, which is out of a beautiful little mountain town here in Colorado, Breckenridge. And it's 14,265 feet. And that was our plan. So we started putting it together, made reservations, got excited, started training over the summer, taking longer and longer hikes. And in order to do that, we've got to start our hike at midnight, right? So we're getting excited. We're talking about all of the fun we're going to have. We're talking about the physical challenge. We're talking about all the other stuff we want to do in Breckenridge. We're talking about the fact that this might be the last hurrah for the three of us, since my son's 18 and moving out of the house soon, and my daughter and I want to move abroad in a year and a half or 2 years, right? So we're really like this, we're talking about this as before we're even there, this cherished memory of the three of us really spending this time together and challenging ourselves and pushing ourselves as a collective, right? And remembering how we've done this before. Well, we start out the trail a little bit before midnight. Sky is gorgeous, cloudy. We've got a full moon. We've got our little headlamps for the spots that we need it. But once we were above tree line where there's no trees to block the moon really did show the path. It was really bright until the cloud covered it up from time to time. It was a magnificent experience. I cannot tell you what it's like to have an entire mountain to yourself. It was beyond quiet. It was beyond full. It was beyond anything that I can really describe. When you look out into this darkness, this vastness, and you know that there are animals and people and homes and lakes and wildlife and things that you can't see that are just possibilities, these possibilities. And it was such a reminder to me personally, and I'm digressing a little bit here, forgive me. It's such a reminder to me personally that in our day-to-day lives, we have that similar experience. We just don't know it. Where we're in the space where we are, and we can't see the possibilities. And that doesn't mean they're not there. It was a really good reminder for me to remember that there's always something rich and wonderful and gorgeous around the corner. There's always something that is going to look a little different after the sun comes up, right? There's always something that's going to be a little bit more available to you when your body's a little stronger, your mind is a little stronger, your spirit's a little stronger. You just can't see it right now. So we're having this wonderful experience. It is hard, and it is getting colder and colder. And the farther up we go, the windier it's getting, right? We wore layers, we had lots of water and snacks, but we're wearing out. We really are. So we get to this little spot. It's a false peak, and there's this alcove behind these rocks. So we take this little break, and we try to cushion ourselves from the wind a little bit. And we realize this is a false peak. We've got to go up probably about another 800 feet. And we got to cross this big, long ridge. If you've ever done a 14er before, it's all scramble. It's all rocks, and there's no sure footing, so it's exhausting. Even just going across the flat ridge is exhausting before you go up. So we begin, again, we go across this ridge, and we start rising up. And we get to a point, and I turn around, I said, okay, you ready for our next 10 steps? Because if you remember from last year, that's all I promised myself was the next 10 steps. I always took more, but that was how I got myself to the top of the last mountain, was just 10 steps, right? Just take that next digestible chunk. And my daughter sits down, and she starts crying. She says, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. She says, I'm going to get hurt. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm freezing. I said, okay. And I have to admit to you, I had that moment. I was like, how do you get this close and not finish it? And then I stopped and I checked in. I checked in with my values. I checked in with the whole reason we did this in the first place. Yes, the goal was to get to the 14,000 feet and watch the sunrise. That was the goal. But why? Why did we set this goal? We set this goal for all of those reasons we were celebrating before we even started. Time together, the physical challenge, the magic of being on the mountain and leaving all of our problems on the mountain, this final memory together before we leave, and getting up and down safely, right? All of these things. And the moment I checked in with the reason why we set this goal was the moment I could let go. It was the moment I could let go and just be with her and just sit. And we sat for a moment. At one point considered staying right there and watching the sun come up, but it was so cold we had to keep moving our bodies, so we started moving back down the mountain. And it occurred to me, how many times do we do this in our business? How many times do we do this in our lives? Or we go, I've got to write that book, or I've got to start that business, or I've got to hit this sales quota for the quarter or whatever. And we get to a certain point, and everything in us says that if we don't finish it, we quit. Everything in us says that if we don't do it, that we're a failure somehow, that we've screwed something up, that we're not enough. And remember the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is being in the moment of pain. Suffering is the story we tell ourselves again and again about who we are or who we're not, right? How strong we are or how weak we are, right? These are the story we move forward is what lends itself to the suffering. And of course, my daughter felt terrible. I'm sorry I ruined this for you guys. Nope, no. We came here. The reason we did this was for all of these other things. We're doing that. And who knows what she saved us from, right? If we did get up there and we were so exhausted we couldn't come down safely, maybe somebody would have gotten hurt. It was really, really windy all across that ridge. Maybe something would have happened, and who knows? Who knows, right? So the important thing to remember when you miss your goals is that, first of all, by setting them and striving for them, you got farther along than not setting them at all. And more importantly than that, remember why you set them. You set them to better yourself. You set them to strengthen yourself. You set them to better your situation. And if you fall short, it doesn't mean those other things haven't been achieved, right? Because you had the guts and the courage to reach for them in the first place. Now you tell me, the feeling state of beating yourself up, telling yourself that you didn't make it, that you're a failure, that you suck, how much energy are you going to have going into your next set of goals with that story in your head about yourself? Now tell me the feeling state of, okay, didn't quite make it, gonna set another goal because I am stronger for this experience. I do know more now. I do have these other tools in my toolkit now that I've gotten close and really got to taste what that goal is gonna look like, right? I am empowered by the experience of my journey rather than disempowered by the inability to reach the goal. That's a more empowering feeling state, isn't it? When you set a goal again, knowing that you can challenge yourself, that you do rise to it, that you do learn, that you do grow, that you are capable, your next goal is going to be easier to reach, right? So when you talk about missing a goal, remember why you set the goal. It's the principles in the Fail to Win program, right? The very first section is the fours. What are you for? What were you for when you set that goal? What are you for when you set the next goal? That is where you are. That is the circumstance you've asked for. And guess what? I am not only for this amazing vacation and the experience of watching the sun rise and being present to my kids. I am for compassion and grace and connection. That was a perfect opportunity for me to practice that on the top of the mountain. I wasn't just for the end game. I wasn't just for that goal. I was for all of these other things in the experience. Remember to check in with yourself. Remember to look for the reason you're setting these goals. the reason that you're pushing yourself, the reason you're hitting that ceiling becomes irrelevant when you can touch and tap into the reason you're doing it. That builds the momentum that busts through the ceiling. Now all of that resistance at the top is irrelevant. All right? So your homework and my homework is to give ourselves credit for the goals we do hit, because what happened last year, hit the goal 14, or okay, what's next, right? Did I give myself credit for reaching it? Yes, I did, and quickly turned my attention to the next experience, right? So remember to give yourself credit for the goals that you do hit. And the goals that you don't hit, remember to glean the lessons and the opportunities in the conditioning up to that. Remember to touch base with who you are and why you're showing up this way in the first place. And you'll see that you're actually doing quite a lot better than you thought when you were beating yourself up for missing it. So that's our homework. Stay in touch with me here on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, the blog at tiffanyhammond.com. Sign up for the Fail to Win class. You can learn these tools and these little mind shifts that get you into that wonderful, empowered place where you can create the life you crave. And I will see you next time, Wednesdays, 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time. See you then. Good luck.